right? You have to be disciplined. Like from the halt, he gave you zero response for your leg. Zero, right? So your squeeze release should say go forward. If he chooses to break to the trot, then he needs to go forward in the trot. If he chooses to break to the canter, then he needs to go forward in the canter, because going slow at a higher gait does not equal going forward from your leg. Does that make sense? Because if you don't ride this way and you ask him, you squeeze release, and he jigs in the trot, then and you praise him and tell him he's good for jigging in the trot and going slow in the trot, then you're only going to create a horse that jigs, which is not what you're going to do. So you want to make sure that he knows when you squeeze release, doesn't matter if you're on a long rein out to the buckle, it doesn't matter if you've been halting, doesn't matter if he's already trotting and you squeeze release and he can't give you more in the trot, then he better canter and give you more in the canter. Does that make sense? So that your leg becomes that it means more. Because currently your leg says don't quit. And that is not a tangible thing for the horse, right? When you're going around and you're keeping him going by adding leg all the time, right? Your leg means zero. It means the absence of quitting, which is not a tangible, quantifiable thing. So what you need to do is you need to retrain him that your leg means give me more. So that then your leg can come off, right? And if he slows down, your leg comes in and says, nope, give me more. I want you to trot at 4 miles an hour. I said 4 miles an hour. Then your leg comes off. He goes to 3.9 miles an hour. You put your leg back on. You say, I want more. Give me 4 miles per hour. Then your leg goes away. And then he drops to 3.8 miles an hour, right? And then you say, no, I want you to give me more. I want you to go back up to 4 miles an hour. Pretty soon you can take your leg away and you will just stay at 4 miles an hour. Does that make sense? But if your leg is on every single time, saying stay at 4 miles an hour, stay at 4 miles an hour, stay at 4 miles an hour, not only is your leg not free for bending, shaping, suppling, moving the shoulders, going sideways, any of the other things, but also you're getting zero for it. You're getting the absence of quitting, which is not a tangible thing. So you always want to make sure that you're getting something for your leg, right? So that then it allows you the opportunity to take them off. And so that's why I want you to be able to take your leg off and coast for a little while, even if he slows down, right? Because his brain has to start to feel what it's like to carry you without you telling him all the time to continue to carry you. Right now, you take your leg away and he just quits, right? Because your leg stopped making every stride go forward. And you have to change that. You have to change it that your leg goes away and he keeps going. And so you have to build a little impulsion, like we're doing on the long side, and then start coasting a little bit, where his brain gets to experience what it feels like to carry you without your leg on all the time. Does that make sense? Okay, so he's probably going to give you zero response when you put your leg on here because he's grown roots. So just be prepared. You always have to ask nicely. Don't just call up and wallop him. Then it's not fair. You always have to precede the correction with a nice aid that you want him to listen to. The aid you want him to listen to, not the aid you think he's going to listen to. This is an important distinction here, because if you use the aid you think he's going to respond to, you're going to overaid him. So you have to teach him to respond to a lighter aid. You could teach him to go trotting off when you reached forward and touched his ear, right? It would be very inconvenient to do that every stride. So don't overuse your leg, right? If you want him to trot from a light leg, use a light leg, even though you know full well there is not a snowball's chance in hell that he's going to go forward from that. But then you correct it and you say, hey, I made an aid. I want you to listen to it. Maybe you didn't hear me. I'm going to correct it now. I'm going to show you the response that I want from that light leg. And then I'm going to go back and repeat that light aid again. And then I'm going to reinforce it with a correction, so that every time he starts to feel, if you can be consistent about that process and disciplined about that process, pretty soon, every time he feels that light leg, he knows that if he doesn't give you a good response to that light leg, he's going to get the big correction, right? And they don't want to get the big correction. So that you can train him to listen to a lighter aid by doing it that way, okay? So this leads to somewhere, right? This leads to a self-propelled horse. but you have to be disciplined about the process. All right, squeeze, release, definite, but not over it. Now kill it. Go, kick, 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 go, 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 go. Yeah, and you want to keep driving him until he goes, oh crap, right? You feel his little butt muscles tuck under and push off forward. That's your minimum level of response. Yep. And now I want you to go right back to the halt. Halt. Hold. Good boy. And give a little, and now squeeze, release. See if your correction made sense. Squeeze, release. Good boy, pat him a lot. Like huge pat, make much of him. Oh my God, you're so good. What a good boy. You're way too reserved. I have like a victory gallop for my horses when they do a good job. Like up on a high seat, praising them, scritching up their necks like they just won the Olympics. Because you want to make it incentive for him. He's a very willing horse and he likes it when you praise him. You want to make it really incentive for him that he does it right. This is good. Look at this trot already.
Wow.
Have you given him any leg yet? All right. No problem. As long as you get more for it, you can use your leg every other stride if you want, but he better go forward and forward and forward every time. Yes. Great. Good job. And again, squeeze, release, on, off. Come. Yes, pat him. Good boy. And now change direction. Same rules apply. Legs off, let him carry you, let him carry you. One, squeeze, release, now. Come. Go. Yes, pat him. Good enough. Anything less than that is not good enough, okay? That was a minimum. You got it, big praise. Tell me so smart. You got it. And you just live this forever. This is good. Yeah. And again, squeeze, release. Come. Yes, pat him. Big pat. Yep.
Wow.
Exactly. And again, squeeze, release. Come. 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 Yeah. Good job. Exactly. So that again, it doesn't become that you're kicking him and getting louder just because he didn't answer you a bunch of times. It's one aid and you either correct or praise. Those are the options. That's it. One or the other. Super. Got it. Good. All right, shall we see a little canter? And then we'll talk about connection. But there's no use in talking about the connection until you get the forward, right? Because the connection comes from the forward impulsion. That's where the energy comes. Come, release, forward to the canter. Yeah, don't start chasing him now. Squeeze, release. If he doesn't listen, wallop him. Have a yeehaw. Go, go, go. Yeah, fine. Good. And then same thing. I want you to go down the long side. Beginning of the long side, I want you to squeeze on, off. And I want you to have a little gallop. Ready, go. Squeeze, squeeze, and let go. That is not a gallop, my friend. That is like the fourth excuse for gallop I've ever seen. Yeah, so I want you to turn the corner, legs off, legs off. And then I want you to squeeze and hold your leg on 2 strides. 1, 2, come. Kick him. This is not good enough. Kill him. There is no change. No change in the hand. I want you to send him like a racehorse. Go, go, go.
Go, 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 go,
Come on.
go, 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 go.
Come on. Better pat him. Giving hands. Yep. Keep his neck a little straighter. Soften your hand. Legs off. And squeeze, release. Ready, go. 1, 2. Come. More. 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 Kick him. Yeah, you've got to correct him when he doesn't give you a good enough response. Otherwise, this doesn't work. You know what I mean? Good. Good. Go. Go. Come. Bigger. 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 Good. Pat him. Big pat. Yep. Soften your, give your hand. Give the right rein a little bit because he's looking right all the time. Yeah. Good. And then squeeze, release, and go. Come. 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 More. 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 Yeah, it's okay. Still want to see you, like, make a good effort, so you don't have to do it so many times. You know what I mean? squeeze, release, and go, go, go. Yeah, better, big pass. Good. All right, and then I want you to come back to the trot. Yep, squeeze, release, and go. Come, 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 come. This is not dying underneath us. Yeah, better. Good, and then take another halt break. And then I'm gonna give you another tool. So you've got to commit to it, right? You could have had that correction done in one time around the ring, right? But you've got to commit to it. So you put your leg on, you squeeze, release. I mean, I would like, go. Have a yeehaw.
Okay.
Right? So that you don't have to go around 6 times making like incremental little tiny
I think
things.
it's definitely from where we started when I would ask him to canter and we'd be at 60 miles an hour and 60-degree turns.
Mm-hmm. But the reality is, it's not about him going forward, it's about training the response time, right? So that's not the horse that you have anymore.
Right.
You have to ride the horse that's underneath you. You
Yes.
gotta let that go. He's let it go, right?
Yes.
You have to ride the horse that's underneath you today. And until you have a better response time, you're not going to be able to get the connection. Because in order to connect into your hand, you have to have the ability to put your leg on and move the energy towards your hand. So if you're working so hard just to keep the energy going in a linear way like this, you're never going to be able to have enough to push it into the bridle to connect over his back. So this piece, it's not about chasing him forward at all. It's about training the response time. So once you get the forward, you can be done. You don't have to do it again.
And that's been one of my concerns, is that I was becoming a nag and that he was going to get abused.
100%. 100%. So you want this to be as quick a conversation as possible. But in order to do that, you have to be super duper clear. You have to be super duper firm, right? Black and white. I put my leg on, you didn't go. We're gonna have a gallop. The end of conversation. It's not going around for 20 minutes being like, oh, go a little bit more. Oh, a little bit more. It's not enough incentive for him. And that's why, like, when I'm doing this work with the horses, I'm not kidding you. I get up in a half seat and I stretch up their neck and I'm like, good job, good boy, right? Because then they start to be like, oh, it's kind of fun. I get all this praising and I'm super nice and fancy and everybody loves me when I'm doing this. This is so good. And then they want to do it again. And then it's a very, like, you overly do it so that it's a very stark contrast to, like, squeeze, release, and when they don't answer you the right way and you're like, move your tail.
Got it.
Right? So that you've got these two polar opposite things. It's not just that when you squeeze, release, and he doesn't answer, you give him a little kick. And he's like, oh, that's kind of like not my favorite, but okay. And it's also not like when they do a really good job, you're like, yeah, that was good.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're simple in their brains. They're very trainable. Think Pavlov's dogs, right? They're very simple, but they're very trainable. So you have to make it super clear and easy for them to grasp onto what you do want, and super clear and easy for them to grasp onto what you don't want.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And you don't have to do it with emotion. You don't have to, like, get angry with him when he doesn't do it right. You just have to be like, this is the way it is, sweetheart, the end. And the faster we have that conversation and come to that understanding, then the happier our relationship's going to be, because then you won't have to kick him all the time.
Right.
Right? That's the whole point. If you can, like, make your point, usually you only have to do it once. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's over with, and you're not kicking and nagging and whacking and tapping and nudging and all this, all the whole ride. You know, think about it if you were a horse. I would much rather have somebody be like, move your ass, and then be done with it, than be like the whole ride, like, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, feel like this. It's like this thing. Okay, so I'm going to give you another cool aid that I learned this winter in Florida. So I want you to take your whip, okay, and I want you to put your reins in your right hand, and I want you to flip your whip around so that you're holding the bottom of the handle. Yeah, no, flip it so it's pointing straight down. Yep, and point your finger down like this so you're holding it like this. Yep, put down on the bottom of your handle. Slide your hand down.
Okay.
Yep, Yep, so I want you to drop your hand straight down so it's right behind your leg. Directly behind your leg. And that's where I want you to use it. So I want you to use your leg, squeeze, release, and then I want you to tap him sharp with it there. Not like wallop him, but just like a sharp, quick bounce off of his side. Okay? Squeeze, release. Yeah? Again. Yeah, good boy. Pat him, pat him, pat him. Good boy.
Good.
Yeah, and now walk. And now call. Good. And now do it again. Squeeze, release, and a quick bounce. Yeah, pat him. Good boy. Pat him. Good boy. Yeah, good job. And then again. Call. Good boy. Give. Squeeze, release. Yeah, pat him.
Good boy.
Feel how quick that response is?
Yeah.
So, this is, I'm giving you this aid. Use it, don't abuse it, is what I will tell you. So you can use it like this to get him a little sharper, okay? Now use it. You can pick up your reins and walk forward, and he should be a little sharper off your leg now. You can do it on both sides. So they have a bundle of nerves right behind your leg called the trunci nerves, okay? And it's a very sensitive area. And if you notice, and you'll see on your video, the first time it surprised him a little bit. The second and the third time you did it, he went forward.
Yeah.
It quickens the hind legs. So when you whack them on the croup or on their bum, they often will either buck or just not really go forward from it, right? And this is the experience that I've had with this. When you use this to sharpen them off your leg a little bit, they tend to scoot forward as a response, which is great. That's exactly what you want, right? So use it, don't abuse it, because like with anything, they'll get dull to it if you overuse it, right? Or if you overuse your leg. You want to use it just like you just did to sharpen him to your leg. Take your legs away. Don't touch him now. Don't touch him. There's no reason to be moving your legs here. And now squeeze, release, and ask him to trot. Yes, pat him. Good response, right? So again, don't overuse your leg, but you can use that little aid. You can use it even here in the trot, right? Instead of pony kicking, like you might have that aid, sharpen him and quicken him off your leg. It makes him wake up and do it, right? Does that make sense?
Thing.
A little bit more trusting.
Do you want to go crawl the back?
Yeah. So drop your hand down behind your leg. I want to cover the front. Make sure you get on the straightaway. Yeah, that's fine. Squeeze, release one time, and then right straight behind your leg. Drop it straight down. Yeah, pat him, pat him, pat him. Good boy. Yes. That was the first time his hind end respond. Could you feel? Yeah. Now just ride this. Pat him. Tell him he's so good. This is your trot. You feel this? There you go. Love it. Pat him a lot. Yeah. Good boy. Now squeeze, release. One nicely. Come. Yeah. Pat him. Pat him. Pat him. Good boy. I love it. Right? So now don't touch him with your legs. Let him carry you. Super. I love it. Pat him a lot. Tell him he's so good and smart. So this is going to be what allows you to ride the contact, but he's got to go around like this. Like I wouldn't fuss with the contact at all until he can go around at this tempo without you working at all to maintain it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, I want you to go the other direction and try a little canter. Don't slow him down. What are you doing?
I'm getting myself organized.
All right, well then take a little, yeah.